I married a gold digger, and for a while, I was the only one who didn't see it. Before I saw the truth. When I first met Emily at a friend's rooftop party in New York, she felt like a movie scene that had stepped into my life. She laughed at all my jokes, held my arm like it belonged to her, and told me I'm different from all the guys in this city. I was a mid-level software engineer who had just cashed out some stock options. She was a freelance influencer who somehow never had time for work, but always had time for champagne brunch. My parents warned me she seemed a little too interested in how much I made, but I called it insecurity, not greed. We married in a rustic chic barn wedding that cost more than my first car. Her choices? My credit card. She beamed in every photo while my mother watched quietly from the corner, lips tight but saying nothing. When Emily tossed the bouquet, she winked at me like we were starting the greatest love story ever told. I believed her. Red flags in designer wrapping. The first cracks were small. She hated our modest but cozy apartment and started sending me listings for penthouse condos like she was browsing shoes. She would say, "You're in tech, baby. You're supposed to be rich. What's the point of working so hard if we don't live like it?" When I suggested saving first, she went cold for days, then thawed the moment I booked an expensive weekend getaway. Money became the language of our marriage. She wanted luxury gym memberships, designer bags, and investment jewelry. She pushed me to put her name on my condo because that's what real partners do. She asked strange, casual questions about my life insurance and what would happen if anything ever happened to me. I told myself this was anxiety, not calculation, but in the quiet moments, the questions echoed in the back of my mind like sirens. Hiring someone to watch my own wife. The turning point came when I picked up her phone by accident. A message preview flashed on the screen. "Once everything is in your name, we're gone. He's too soft to fight back." My stomach dropped. The sender was saved as just a first name, Mark. I put the phone back exactly as I'd found it and didn't say a word. But something in me switched off that day. I didn't scream. I didn't confront her. Instead, I searched for a private investigator. That's how I met Lucas, a former cop with tired eyes and a calm voice. Sitting in his cramped downtown office, I told a stranger what I couldn't admit to my own family, that I suspected my wife had married me for money and was planning to gut me financially on her way out. He listened, then nodded like he'd heard my story 100 times. He said, "We work with evidence. You want answers, not guesses. If she's clean, you'll sleep better. If she's not, we'll make sure you don't walk into court blind." Setting the trap. Lucas installed discrete cameras in our living room and office under the excuse of upgraded security. He also had me create a fake digital folder with fabricated property deeds, offshore accounts, and a trust document naming Emily as the primary beneficiary. On the surface, it looked like I was hiding millions more than I actually had. I staged a little performance one night. I left my laptop open on the dining table with the fake folder clearly visible and the screen on sleep, not shut down. Then, I told Emily I was going out for drinks with coworkers and would be late. I did go out, but with Lucas, who watched the camera feeds from his tablet while we sat in the back corner of a quiet bar. Barely 20 minutes after I left, Emily appeared on the screen. She walked past the laptop, doubled back, and tapped the trackpad. We watched her open the folder, scroll through the fake documents, and take photos with her phone. Then, exactly as Lucas predicted, she made a call. "Yeah, it's all here. He's worth way more than he told me. Once I'm on the deed and the accounts are consolidated, I'm done. No prenup on the new stuff. He doesn't even realize he's setting himself up." She laughed. The kind of laugh you don't forget. The night before it all broke. Hearing it was different than suspecting it. I watched my wife, discuss me like a mark, like a target on a board. On the outside, I kept everything normal. I still kissed her on the cheek, still asked about her day, still listened when she complained about how stressful her pedicure appointments were. On the inside, I was already gone. Lucas gathered more. Screenshots, recorded calls, photos of her having dinner with Mark, the guy from the messages, holding his hand across the table. They weren't just planning to bleed me financially, they were planning a future together with my money. Every time I saw another piece of proof, the love I'd clung to shrank into something small and brittle. I decided I wanted witnesses, not for revenge alone, but for clarity, for my family, for the part of me that still wanted to believe she was just confused, not cruel. So I invited my parents, my sister, and Emily's parents over for a family brunch. I told them I had an important announcement. Emily thought I was going to talk about buying a house. She wasn't entirely wrong. That Sunday, the house smelled like fresh coffee and cinnamon rolls. Emily dressed in white, like she always did when she wanted to look innocent. She kissed me on the cheek in front of everyone and clinked her mimosa against my glass. "To new beginnings," she said. "Definitely," I replied. Once everyone settled, I stood up. My hands shook, but I refused to let my voice do the same. I said, "There's something I need to share with all of you." I thought about doing this quietly, but I realized this isn't just about me. This is about what marriage is supposed to be and what happens when it's treated like a business deal. Emily's smile froze. "Babe, what are you talking about?" I picked up the remote and turned on the TV. Lucas, waiting in his car outside, sent the video feed straight to the screen. The recording of Emily, at the table, opening my fake folder, her words sharp and undeniable. The room went silent, except for her own voice echoing around us. "Once I'm on the deed and the accounts are consolidated, I'm done. No prenup on the new stuff. He doesn't even realize he's setting himself up." She laughed, the kind of laugh you don't forget. Her father stared at her. Her mother covered her mouth. My mother did not look surprised, just unbearably sad. "Turn it off," Emily shouted, lunging for the remote. I held it out of reach. There's more, I said. Text messages, dinners with your boyfriend, plans to take everything I worked for and walk away. I looked at each person at the table. I didn't want to believe it, so I made sure I didn't have to rely on belief. Watching her mask shatter, Emily switched tactics in seconds. First anger, then tears. She dropped to her knees in front of me, clutching my hand. I was just venting. You know how girls are with their friends. I was being dramatic. I love you. I was never going to leave you. Lucas warned me about this part. The performance, the waterworks, the desperate scramble to rewrite the narrative. I gently pulled my hand away. You told someone you were going to bleed me dry and disappear. You called me soft. You said I was stupid for trusting you. I'm not sure what word you would use for that, but I call it betrayal. My sister spoke up then, her voice low and furious. You moved into his life like it was a hotel suite, and you were planning to check out with his wallet. That's not love, Emily. That's theft in slow motion. Emily turned to her parents, but they looked hollowed out. Her father shook his head. I raised you better than this, he said quietly. Or maybe I didn't. Maybe I just wanted to believe you were better. I had already spoken to a lawyer. The prenup, I insisted on, something Emily had mocked at the time, was ironclad. She walked into the marriage seeing dollar signs. She walked out with none of what she had planned to take. The evidence Lucas collected made any attempt at playing the victim in court almost laughable. She tried anyway, of course, but the recordings, the messages, and the timeline painted a crystal clear picture. In the divorce, she got nothing beyond what the law strictly required for the short time we were married. No house, no business stakes, no access to my savings. Her attempts to leverage emotional distress crumbled under the weight of her own words. Word spread quickly. The same social circles that had once admired her designer outfits now whispered about her failed millionaire upgrade and the husband who'd caught her mid-heist. Brands quietly stopped inviting her to events. A couple of her sponsorships dropped her, citing misalignment with values. The lifestyle she'd curated, built on appearances and other people's money, shrank almost overnight. I didn't lift a finger to ruin her. I only refused to protect her from the consequences she'd already set in motion. The satisfaction of walking away. The most satisfying moment wasn't the court ruling or watching her story unravel online. It was something smaller and quieter. A few months later, I walked past the restaurant where she once insisted we eat because only people with taste come here. I saw her through the window, not in a designer dress, but in a plain black shirt, working as a hostess and forcing a smile for customers who barely looked at her. She saw me.
For a second, embarrassment and anger flashed across her face, then something like recognition. Not of me, but of the moment, the realization that this was the life she'd earned. I didn't smirk, I didn't wave, I just kept walking. These days, my life is calmer, smaller in some ways, fewer fancy dinners, fewer grand gestures, bigger in others, more honest conversations, more boundaries, more trust in myself. My mother still says, at least you found out early. My father says, you got your tuition in advance on what not to marry. When people ask what happened, I tell them this. I married a gold digger, yes, but she dug her own grave when she confused kindness with weakness and love with opportunity. In the end, she didn't get my money, my home, or my future. All she got was exactly what she deserved, a life built on the truth of who she really is, with no one left to fund the lie.